Welcome to Hello Port Hueneme. I'm your host Tom Dunn, and we are doing the City Council review of March 19th of 2018. And with me is Councilmember Fig. Welcome, Tom.
Hi, Tom.
And this meeting started off with something new, which is the 70th celebration of the incorporation of the City of Port Hueneme in 1948. And you want to give us a review of the history of the city? No, you did that at the Bard Mansion. That was 2 hours of good stuff.
Yeah, 3 days earlier I made a presentation to the quarterly dinner meeting of the Bard Mansion, Friends of the Bard Mansion. And I was told later that I got my dates screwed up. Oh. That it was, I thought it was March 23 of 1948, and I was told that it was March 24th of 48. Okay, wouldn't be the first time that I was wrong. Anyway, it's another milestone in the history of the city, and what I provided to the Friends of the Bard Mansion was kind of a interrelationship between the birth and the life cycle of the Harbor District and the Navy and the city, because they've all grown together in a relatively similar period of time.
The tale of three cities, as you call it.
The tale of three cities. So anyway, it was Mayor Schnapp that kind of put forward the idea that, well, let's bring to the public's attention about our 70th anniversary. We don't have to, create things that we don't already do. Let's take advantage of events and programs that are already in the works, and we'll just piggyback off of those programs and events, and just to continue to reinforce and to keep the public aware that, hey, this is another milestone in the city's history.
It's really interesting that throughout the years, and I guess it's been, 80 years or so since the port was there and the Navy came in, that over these years it's been an up and down relationship of the port and the city, or the city and the Navy, or Navy and the port, and it's very, very interesting. And when I posted that Bard video on Port Hueneme News and Hello Port Hueneme, I stated in there, this would be very interesting because there's a lot of stuff in there the citizens are not going to be aware of that went on. And it carries much of what the Museum of Historical Society has documented on the walls and stuff. So it's very interesting, a very interesting history. This meeting was designed to bring in people. There was a reception who were 70 years old, who were born in 1948. And several of them came to the meeting and were honored. And let's see, we also had the District 3 Supervisor, Kelly Long, was there. Right. And she brought a document. And let's see, the Camarillo Mayor was there. The consulate, I don't know what you'd call him, but from Mexico. Right. There, I think another important one was Captain Yaki from the Navy. Yaki from the Navy,
and he spoke very, highly about. And he's kind of, he's on his way out. He's going to be relinquishing his command here in the next two to 3 months, and made some very complimentary remarks about his relationship with the city, and he's appreciated the partnership, and he's going to, I think, move on to formal retirement. I don't think he's being reassigned.
Tracy Sisson Phillips, who is the CEO of the Chamber, and she talked about the...
Well, she didn't really give herself or give the Chamber the credit that they deserve. They were instrumental in the incorporation of the city. It was some 6 years before the city was actually incorporated, and it was the Chamber of Commerce that was really the driving force behind the incorporation. Now, she didn't mention that in her talk, but that's something to bear in mind, that the Chamber has played an instrumental role in the city's legacy. And that carries through to today. So, kudos to the chamber for contributing to who we are.
Yeah, they, Tracy and the people they have there work awfully hard in trying to maintain, sustain the business community, and so it's well appreciated. Then, like I said, we honored the 70-year-olds that were there with a gift package, and there are going to be other celebrations throughout the year of the 70th, not necessarily specific for that, but tied into movie in the park, things at the beach, the senior luncheon, maybe, stuff like that. So it'll be a year long, even up until March of 2019, when that will be a year of celebration. So we'll keep you updated on to when those concurrent events take place. The next thing on the agenda, and this is, I think, was really good to hear, BMW, which has a new car place where they detail the cars ready to ship out all over the West Coast. They donated $72,000 to the city. Would you like to explain to people what they gave the city?
Well, it was a combination of high-end bicycles, which hopefully, and we didn't get a report necessarily from the police on how they intend to use these donations, the bicycles, but we've had recent incidents on the Bubbling Springs Parkway, and hopefully we'll have more visible presence now with the police department with the use of these bicycles to go up and down the
where you can't get a police car.
Exactly.
And it's much quicker response than if somebody's walking and having to run and catch up.
Yes. And so I think that's very encouraging. I don't know what the game plan is in terms of deployment of patrol officers and the times and how much they can dedicate to that effort, but I think it's a great idea. And then they had an electric vehicle that's a BMW kind of, they're entering into the green environment of automobile manufacturing, and I'm sure the police department will take full advantage of that, particularly with things that are repetitive, if they have to do patrols down at the beach, not necessarily, something you would use in a pursuit or that kind of, to respond to a call for service, but just to do periodic reviews of what's happening at the beach or Miranda Park or Bubbling Springs or Volker Park. It's a great, efficient, cost-efficient, and energy-friendly kind of alternative to a police vehicle.
And they were also, I don't know, was it BMW or somebody else was going to donate the electric plug-in place?
Well, and that's BMW was offering to provide an electric charging station. And I don't know if I raised the question, now that I think about it, I guess I failed to do so. It would be nice if that charging station could be put out into the public parking lot right there on Ventura Road next to the police department, so the public could benefit from a charging station.
It's supposed to be able to fully recharge a car in 2 hours.
Well, and the Harbor District is installed or will be installing several stations at the building location at Market Street and Hueneme Road, and that's what kind of, I'll have to follow up with the chief and see if that's something that we can do to make this a public benefit, not just for the police department.
Now, was this let's say a sedan or more of a SUV type? I don't remember.
I think it's more of a sedan. All I remember is a photo I saw, and it seemed to me it was more of a compact vehicle.
I heard it mentioned that this would be used a lot of, instead of having to use 2 patrol cars, they had enough room in whatever this was to take everybody wherever they had to go, maybe 5 or 6 people in one load instead of using up 2 squad cars or something like that. So that's why I
Whatever,
asked.
we appreciate BMW's offer, and we graciously accepted it. And, you know, again, it's all part of community. BMW benefits from having the port, you know, for their import operations, and we appreciate their recognition that we're all in it together, and they're trying to help us out, and we are very, very much appreciative of that.
The next thing we have is the Public Works. Don Villafana made a quarterly report, and I thought it was a very, very good report because they've done a lot. They put a lot of stuff into action, and I think you know last year they did a lot of beach stuff. They finished that up this quarter, and also the things they were doing in Miranda Park. Can you go over some of the activities in Miranda Park that they were, not activities, but the facilities, what they were upgrading there?
Well, they've already completed 6 of the 8 tennis court resurfacings and renovation, and the final 2 courts are about to be renovated and should be available for full use. I think there was a goal to have it done in advance of the Ojai Valley annual tennis tournament in years past, until our courts kind of fell into disrepair. We were a venue for part of the Ojai Valley tennis tournament. So we're hoping that we'll have all of the courts available for use this year. Meanwhile, the basketball courts have now been resurfaced, and actually it was a total rebuild because of the sorry condition of those courts, and they'll be ready for use here very shortly. And then after that, we'll be looking at renovating the ball fields, the softball fields, and the lighting that is associated with those ball fields. So these are things that have been long overdue, and Don Villafana and his staff have been just Johnny on the spot and taking these matters on. They're long overdue, and it's not a matter that we didn't have funds available. We did. We just haven't, you know, placed this as a priority. And when Don was hired, we made it abundantly clear that these are important issues that need to be attended to, and he has jumped right on it. And so we're thrilled. Now we've got other issues further up the way at Bubbling Springs Park. Restrooms there need to be renovated, and other improvements that need to be made. And I have all the confidence that they'll be jumping on that as well. But Miranda Park has been a big focus, as well as Wainimi Beach, because there has been such deferred maintenance over time.
When I started getting involved with the city, that was one of the things, probably the major thing that people said was, we asked them, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing this for years? And like you said, it was the parks and the beaches, what they mainly complained about. And there was nothing being done. And so lately, in the last 9 months or so, it's really come along. And one thing, we've mentioned on a show before, we don't have people coming to the city hall with to the city council meetings with the complaints like they used to, because so many of them have been taken care of. But every once in a while when somebody comes down, any department manager is there, and if it's about the water or the parks or whatever, if the department manager is there and somebody makes a complaint, I've seen them go up and ask for the person's name and phone number and say, I will look into it tomorrow.
We all have witnessed that.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how appreciative of council is in watching that. They, you know, it's not like we're not cognizant of that interaction that's occurring, and it wasn't occurring previously.
Okay, here's something I like, I sort of like about what we do is, Tony Stewart, who is our community relations director, he gave a little talk about community development, progress report on annual housing. Now, that's not something that most people know anything about whatsoever.
Right.
But it's not so much what the report says, it's what we can let the people know this exists, and it's something some of you may really care about and like to know what's going on. So this is something new that wasn't in the agendas before. Can you give us a little background on what the report was about and how it would affect people here?
Well, you're absolutely right. A housing element is not something that people are expected to know much about. But what the purpose is to carry out state mandates that say that we have to address the overall needs of our community as it relates to new people coming in. We have to accommodate the growth of the community. Housing that may be in disrepair, we need to have programs available to address the rehab of those properties. How to deal with the homeless population, on and on and on. And so the annual report is telling the state, this is what we've done in the past year, and this is what our intent is in the forthcoming year. What I suggested at the council meeting was that the focus of this particular report that Mr. Stewart gave was on the city's construction, new construction of housing for those in the low and moderate income ranges, household income, and that's the state's priority. But Port Hueneme, their need is more on recycling and renovating older homes, because we are a mature community. That's more critical than it is for new construction of low and moderate income housing.
We don't have room for a lot of new homes.
And so I just asked Mr. Stewart in the future reports, let's, don't forget about the city's needs, not necessarily just report what the state wants to hear. And but it's a good tool to keep the public aware of that we do have programs and goals toward improving our community, and we want to make certain that we're staying on track with those goals.
That's one thing about being involved with the city council, is finding out all the different things that go on that they have to deal with, just not the stuff that makes the headlines or something like that, because those are important things to some people.
True.
And it's good that everybody knows what's going on, and so when somebody says we don't have money or we need money or this or that, they'll have a little idea of the background of what the request is all about.
Well, just coincidental to this report, there was a news article that came out about a week and a half ago that talking about the county at large and how there's upwards of a goal of 20,000 new homes that need to be built to meet the projected needs of the area over a 5-year period, and we are sorrowfully way behind where that goal has been set. We're far short of what needs to be done, and that's on a county-wide basis. And this is just coincident to the report that Tony gave. The city of Hueneme's assigned goal is 2 new units. That's it. 2 new residential
That
units.
leaves 19,998.
Now you understand what I'm saying, and so there is a huge need in this county, and we're falling further and further behind, and that's why we have incidental or consequential things such as homelessness. Is that the cost of housing is such that it contributes to these what do you call them, secondary issues that we have to now deal with because we don't have an adequate housing stock to accommodate the people that live here.
The last thing that was discussed, and you can give us an update on this, is the website redesign and upgrading of the recording of the city council meetings. Where do we stand on that?
Well, what was on the agenda was specifically about revamping the city's website and to make it more accessible, advertising its availability,
User-friendly.
and make it more user-friendly. And you know, I'm not a website technical guy, but I would certainly agree that this is all part of trying to make the community more transparent and how we make our information available to the public. And that's what was discussed. Is I think cost was going to be somewhere between $7,000 and $10,000 to revamp the city's website, with the idea of being a tool that is really more accessible to the public than it is at present. One of the questions that came up in the course of our discussion on this issue was that it's one thing to revamp it and make it more, you know, readily available and less intimidating in how you navigate on a website. The other question is who's going to maintain the website, because it's one thing to set it up and make it user friendly, but you know, it's an ongoing a process, because documents become dated, issues change. Somebody's got to oversee the maintenance of the website once it's redone. And that was, you know, a healthy discussion that we had, and we leave that in the hands of the city manager to make certain that that process gets managed. But I certainly agree, and the council was unanimous in their belief that we need to get our website so that it is more frequently visited by the public. And in order to do that, you need to make it more attractive and accessible to them.
When you're trying to get more people involved, many of them, especially those under 40 and even younger, that you would like to start to get involved with the city, the access they have to information is relatively simple now. The way that things, we're 2 systems behind, because we just heard that not only does ours need to be upgraded to just be user-friendly on one aspect, it now needs to be user-friendly on mobile applications.
Oh, that was absolutely a good point.
So many people will get their information.
We need to adapt to technology and how consumers are using technology. And right now, you're right, we have one platform and it's on the computer. It's a computer-based internet platform. And we need to be able to adapt to the behavior of our residents and the consumers, and they want to be able to access this on their iPads and their iPhones, and we're not really suited to that. Anything that we can do to increase the public's awareness of what's going on and involvement in important decisions that affect their lives, I'm all for it, and that was the effect of what we passed judgment on the other night.
Maybe in the next 70 years we'll get all that. What's communication going to be like in 70 years?
Who knows?
Yes.
That's the problem, is trying to stay on top of technology.
Well, I've seen 18-month-old children who operate an iPad that is designed for them. You know, like you bring out colors, words, cartoons and stuff. And my wife and I, our 1-year-old great-granddaughter can take her phone, my wife's phone, open it up, hit the on button, and then drag different things. Now, she doesn't know what she's dragging, but she knows.
She understands the
Yeah.
mechanics
Yeah,
of how to use it.
She's just turned 13 months old. That's scary. So, anyway, thanks for listening, and we will have another entertaining program and informational on our next city council review in 2 weeks. Thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you on our next one. Thank you, Tom.
Till then, bye-bye.